Alright guys, Neil here, back. We're gonna try to wrap up Act 2 here. Yeah.
今度の武士とお見受けするいかにも小笠貞宗と申す今度の御家人ですよくぞ対馬まで下級の時ゆえ下文が届くとすぐに我らは出立を命じられました志村殿から話は聞きましたこの戦に加わり藩を討ち宝庫に奪われた城を取り返せばよいのですがさようです恐れながら人に会わねばなりません南の門でお待ちしましょうその後志村殿のところへ
So when those two are out there arguing, screaming, and doing all this yelling, fighting, and then Memphis is just completely avoiding all the drama, I think that definitely worked to his benefit. Yeah. Yeah, this is when, you know, around this time is when Dan and Memphis are going to get together. They're going to form the Renegades, and like under Dan's direction, Memphis' name is dramatically improved. He is never nominated again until Dan does it to him twice. And everything goes away at the end. It is with Rennie. And again, they operate so well together. He's a very good foil to what Dan is trying to do. And while Dan is calling the shots here, he does rely a lot on Memphis's connections and his competition ability. What we see from Dan in season 14 is how he uses Danielle and uses Ian in different ways. I feel like Dan has a level of like respect and reliance on Memphis more so than he does in future seasons, which is important. I don't think it's necessarily like a Derek and Cody level of partnership, but Memphis does bring a lot to the table here. Yeah, absolutely. He played a phenomenal end of the game. Now, he didn't make close personal relationships like Dan did on an emotional level with people. And I think it really can when it gets to the jury phase, with the jury questioning that he absolutely bombed him with compared to what Dan did. But you can tell that that was a big aspect of his game that maybe he lacked or suffered, and it possibly part of his game. And so the fact that he was able to get as far as he did, not winning any HOHs, not really getting an emotional level with people, but sticking true to his alliance, he shows that he's a very big team player. And the fact that he had this alliance with Dan and he was able to work with someone to the end of the game and get him as far as they did. I think those are the big aspects of his game and maybe a few of the challenges that he may face if he does come back. Yeah, I do think that a big part of Memphis' story as well in his first season is the jury management side of things, because what Dan pulls over on Memphis is the greatest example of jury management we've ever seen. Dan remains to be the only regular season winner of the U.S. Show that won unanimously, and Memphis is the only loser of the show who lost unanimously. And that's a big deal. Memphis, who did have these, you know, bonds with people, he was very close with Keisha. He had a good relationship with Rennie. He had good relationships with even some of the other people on the other side of the house. He had the better relationship with Jerry. And yet, Dan was able to essentially sabotage all of his relationships and point Memphis. He used Memphis as like, you know, womanizer, getting mad about being called a womanizer side to really make him burn those connections. They were so mad at him and respectful of what Dan was able to do that Memphis just completely floundered in the final questioning and was not able to get any votes. Yeah, and I definitely think this is almost a prime example that if you compare the Renegades to alliances like Jason Guy and Daniel Reyes or the Hitmen, both of those alliances, they actively made sure that they were looking out for the best interest for both players. Where if you look at alliances like this in, to a degree, Chilltown, you always have that one person in Dan who are always going to go out and do their own thing and then connect later. And it almost felt like Dan was using Memphis as almost like a tool because, you know, like you said, he had really good relationships with people.
This is where the conversation of, oh, I'm gonna adopt you, whatever bullshit,
like an
right?
HOH
comp winner, but he won 3 consecutive vetoes. So it seemed like Dan was almost using Memphis as a tool, or like a partner, but that's just how his cards came.
So, I mean, what do we think about that? Like, is Memphis, like, what kind of reputation does Memphis have coming off of this season? How are the other players going to view him as he walks into the house?
Yeah, I absolutely feel that he is the muscle to Dan's brains. Like, he was the person to win the POVs when Dan couldn't win them. He needed them in those situations, so I think that was a big aspect of what he did in his game, and I think it'll transfer over if he plays again. People will look at him as someone who
Kind
was
of funny that I
able
still
to,
have 4 hours until I have to go to work. Yeah, like, I have such a short shift today. It's really fucking weird.
I think those are the 2 biggest aspects that will transfer to his game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think when I look at Memphis, I think people will look at him, if they even remember him, for the newer players, they will look at him almost like a Cody. I think it's definitely like a Batman Robin aspect where people are going to look at him like
Actually, I do think
soldier.
that's a pretty
He never
good
really
one.
turned on Dan as the loyal guy. He even said specifically during the jury questioning, "I'm not going to badmouth Dan." So I think people are going to look at him as like a super loyal guy. Do I think he's going to follow that suit if he's going to play in the season? I don't think so. But I feel like that's the image he's coming in with.
Yeah, it's interesting because Cody comes in having made the big mistake. Cody won the final HOH and took Derek over Victoria. That's what everyone remembers Cody for. Memphis was planning on doing the same thing, which was if he had won the final HOH, he would have taken Dan and cut Jerry. But Dan ended up winning and saving him from that sort of humiliation, essentially. So he doesn't really have that reputation, which I think could be a bad thing for him, because people don't necessarily remember how loyal he was to Dan in the undying sense, in the sense that Cody was undyingly loyal to Derek, but they might remember him, sitting Keisha down at the Final Four and saying, "Sorry, it's not going to work for you," and Keisha being really upset about it and betraying Jerry and betraying Rennie. Again, Dan's work to just tarnish Memphis in the eyes of the jurors in season 10 could also work to tarnish Memphis in the eyes of future players who go back to watch the season to see what Memphis is all about. Am I wrong here?
Yeah, no, it's totally possible. Like, it depends on people's perspective of his game. Now, if we're thinking people are going back and watching season 10 and remembering, which it totally could be, but remembering his game, I mean, I look at it as he was loyal to Dan, he stuck with him, he worked with Keisha and Rennie as far as he could. I feel the opposite. I feel like he looks like someone who is trustworthy to his alliance. He had to make game moves towards the end, and it worked out. He got as far as he did. He doesn't look like Cody where he, took the wrong person.
Hey, who wins Memphis versus Jerry? I've never fully thought that one out.
So he doesn't look like the dummy who didn't make
Probably Jerry, right? Actually, I don't know.
who was taken there. But
Probably
Dan played
Memphis.
such a phenomenal game that it's really hard to compare Memphis's game to anyone else that was in the final 2 besides maybe like a Tyler or a Cody. I'm not saying he went Tyler's level, but he's like that in the fact that he was someone that I feel was loyal to the end, and did what he had to do for him and Dan's alliance. And I think that people in this house will look at that as an opportunity to take someone with them who maybe is a little bit older, maybe he's not as physical as we've seen in this competition. Also, he's a father now, so maybe he's more emotional and he can bond.
Yeah, how old is Memphis?
I feel like it's really
Was he like 37? 36, 37?
It's been 12 years. He is long removed from this game that he played. He is, coming in potentially a different guy. Does he come in, softer, more mellow, less threatening? What do you think of that?
Well, I do remember couple restaurants and hotels now. He lives in Florida, so maybe he can bring that business aspect to Big Brother. I don't know. I mean, last time we saw someone with that kind of like transformation, I guess, Mike Boogie when he did come to Baby 14, and he was the business owner when he did it, but you saw that his approach was like a little bit more, a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a lot more professional, I guess. He's not the same kind of like kid that he came to Big Brother when he first entered. So maybe his personality could have changed a little bit, but we'll have to see.
Does he have the same drive? Because Memphis was always just a very passionate player, very passionate about his own, performance, essentially. Very cold, I think, to other players at times, but very determined, very aggressive gameplay from Memphis. In both of the different kind of ways that he played in the first half and the second half, just in different formats, essentially. Does he come in with that same passion? Is he going to play this game really hard?
I don't know, because I mean, he seems like a relatively successful guy now. So it's not like the money was really the big thing that drove him his first season. So I mean, he has money now. So it's like, is Big Brother really on his mind now? I don't even know if he still watches it right now. So hopefully he's looking to go in and have basically prove himself to not just be like this dumb player, but possibly just to show that I don't need Dan to win this game, and maybe I can do this by myself.
And does he come in with a chip on his shoulder? Does he come in with I don't need Dan. I can stand on my own. It's like Renegades. We were both great.
This is so boring. Oh my fucking god, man.
I don't think that he is looked at in the same light as Dan is, because in recent years there's been a lot of bigger players to make bigger moves, even if they were sidekicks. Tyler Crispin, I mean, he wasn't in the sidekick, but he did win his season. So I feel like Memphis probably isn't going to be looked as big of a threat, especially with a lot of the newer players who probably didn't even go back and watch that. But I feel like he's definitely someone you should look out for, and I feel like he'd be key for almost any alliance.
What do you think, Bobby? Like,
I
what is
fucked
the
up.
story
I should
of
have
Memphis
said that.
here from his first season to this season? Where do we think he lands?
It's a waste to kill archers, I
in
think.
the arc of Memphis as a character.
Honestly, it's going to be very interesting to see, because so much time has passed. His life, I'm sure, has completely changed. Like Isaiah said, he owns companies, he has kids. Maybe there's a difference in his, ability, or maybe differences in his desires to play this game. But obviously, if he's there, if he's playing this game, he has a desire
Like if
to
he's
play this game. And
willing to
has a
spend
purpose
2 weeks in
to win, because
quarantine.
otherwise, why would he go back? He has so much going on at home. Why would he leave? So I do think there's a desire to be
Fuck
there.
off.
And I do
That was
think
a- oh, what the
there's a
fuck?
desire to win. And I have no idea what we're going to see from him. Probably not a womanizer, I hope. But it was very, it's very interesting, and such a great opportunity to see someone who has had so much time, hasn't played before, since the last
What?
season, and come in there and possibly do well. I don't
What
see
the
who's
fuck is
gonna
that?
run. I don't see who's going to be, trying to take Memphis out. There's so many other targets in this house that I think he can really work his way in and make it up the ladder to possibly get just as far as he did before. I think there's a lot of potential for his game.
Yeah, I think he's hungry. I think he wants it. I think Memphis is coming in. I think he wants to pick up from where he left off when he last played, and show people that the Renegades are great. I don't think he has a chip on his shoulder. I think that he is still friends with Dan. I think that he's still we're buddies, and it's time to prove that the other half of the Renegades is just as valuable a piece. Like Ian who? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. So I think he's gonna come in. I think he's gonna play hard. I do. I think he's gonna come and he's gonna do what needs to be done. I think he's probably learned a lot from Dan. Memphis probably more than anybody else, was in an opportunity to learn a lot from what Dan did, because he was with Dan for so much of what happened, and he wasn't on the receiving end of it, but he was on the end of it, where he saw what Dan was doing. He was on the receiving end of Dan, poisoning the jury against him. So I think that we're going to see a lot of Dan-like play from Memphis. I think we're going to see, him come in and he's going to try and do the Dan game. And I think he's kind of capable of it, especially, at his age now. I think he can come in. I think he can slow play it at first. Probably not going to want to win some competitions at the beginning, and then try to build some kind of alliance. I think we're going to see the Dan formula from Memphis. That's my prediction here, Isaiah.
That's a very interesting way to look at it, because I wonder if those tactics work with, allegedly, if Keisha is playing in this season. Keisha, who knows if she's like, I know what this guy's capable of. It's total BS. Don't fall for it. But there's a lot of people coming into the season with something to prove, and I definitely think Memphis is ready for the challenge.
Yes, and I think that he will probably be focusing a lot on the jury vote. Again, the only person to have lost that's got to sting for Memphis. That's got to be a big point of like, he must feel like he played a great game. But he is the worst at jury management of anybody, including Gina Marie. Which is like, that's rough, man. And that's got to be something that he pays attention to, because we talk about this a decent amount, especially on Super Bowl, that if anything, coming in third place is often better. It feels better than coming in second, because, granted, you get money in second place and not third place, or whatever, but,
Oh, it's this, isn't it?
But, because at least you get to tell yourself, if I had just gotten there, if I just gotten a little bit more lucky on that last competition, whatever it was, I would have won. If you were there in second place, if the jury just decided not to give it to you, that you know that these people that you played with and were friends with didn't think you were worthy, and that you probably didn't have a chance to win the game, because you're never going to win that jury vote, and it's going to eat at you a lot more. And I have to imagine that Memphis is going to be looking at the jury a lot and paying a lot close attention to how am I going to make sure that I can win a jury vote in the end, Bobby.
Absolutely. I think that's his biggest hurdle going into the season. He has to shore up those jury votes. He has to be able to connect with people in ways he didn't in his previous game. Now, let's also give him credit. He was phenomenal in this game, especially towards the end, but he's going against arguably the best player of all time to play this game. So you have to look at that as an aspect, and I'm sure there's a little...
I love how, like, the fucking mission prompt comes up twice there,
all
though.
the credit for something we formed. Like, I did some things to people. I won some vetoes when I needed to. Like, yes, Dan played an amazing game, but I also helped him. Even if he was out there and I not been with him and helped him win some of these things and form some of these allies. I think there has to be a chip on his shoulder with him thinking, okay, I have to show that I'm just as strong as Dan. That's going to come into it completely, where he wants to show that he can be the Dan-like player. He wasn't just the underling to him. He saw that on the same level. Now, that could also be a hurdle in his game, because he doesn't want to come off too strong or, too much like the Godfather, where you're just making all these moves too early or too fast. So, I think that if he's able to connect with people on an emotional level, really shore up the jury votes like he saw Dan do in this season phenomenally, I think that he has real potential. He just needs to make sure he doesn't play too hard too fast like Dan, because Dan did it at a slow, even pace. It happened throughout the season. Little things here and there to really shore up his entire game. So if Memphis can do that and stay at that level, he has real potential in this game.
Now, something else to add to that, when Tyler lost in Big Brother 20, Dan tweeted that he doesn't think that style of game can win anymore. He feels like, especially without the jury questioning format being back able to play, that Machiavellian style just might be on the way out. And then, he lost, Tyler lost,
And Jackson.
Paul lost a few times, that
doing
if
for
he
you?
was talking to Memphis prior to the season, injury management was something that they were focusing on. I wonder if Dan really believes that, and if so, what kind of advice was given to Memphis regarding that kind of metagame strategy of maybe you shouldn't play as hard, maybe you should play just a little more low-key and social, because that's what tends to win games nowadays.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a huge possibility that he did give him some advice like that. I think if I use Dan almost as an example, would he really follow his own advice though if he went inside the game? Dan is naturally a very impulsive guy. He can go in knowing what to do, but it's like, are you really do it? I think Memphis could do it. I think his archetype typically does well in Big Brother. It's just that also might need to avoid things like making rival twos with a lot of people, because I think that actually hurt him a lot, especially with like Jerry and Keisha. So if he makes the correct adjustments, I think that he will do well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, I do think that Dan went into season 14 planning on playing a slightly lower-key game. Just like over and over his worst-case scenario happened, and it put him in a position to just go wild. And I think he revels in the wildness of it, but I think he's also capable of playing lower-key, and so I do think it's possible that he is advising Memphis to do the same. And that, like, hey, if you can help it, don't be me on season 14, because it's a rough ride, man. And in the current, meta game of Big Brother, it doesn't tend to win jury votes. But again, Dan may also be looking at it in the way that I'm looking at it, which is this is an all-star cast. This is a cast of people. It's got people like Tyler, like Janelle, people that do respect the game and that would absolutely vote for a player like Dan or Tyler or whoever. Ian, even like Dave Holland, like so many people in this cast are like famous for not being bitter juries, jury members. So I think that's actually not the case. I don't think that Memphis needs to play low-key. I think that he actually needs to play aggressively. I think that he needs to do some Dan moves if he wants to win the respect of the jury.
By the
So I'm
end.
very curious to see where this lands and what kind of intent he has coming into the season, Bobby.
Yeah, I think it nails the head. This is an all-star season. This is people that want to see game players get far in this game. They want their season to be represented by someone who deserves to be there. And so I think that,
And the next one's
yes,
stop
I totally
motion, right?
agree. He needs to be aggressive at certain points, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I feel like for this game especially, people are going to come out hot. They're going to be going and jumping right into things, trying to organize and trying to backstab. It's going to be entertaining TV. And I'm not saying that Memphis should be along for that ride, but I feel like he needs to take it to the level
Yeah, like it happens anyway.
like you're forming alliances and trying to get, all the information you can, and then strike when the moment's right. I just think that, especially with All-Stars, people are going to come in very, very hot.
2 down, 8 more to go.
And I think that that's going to be a big aspect to his game if he can just make it last whenever he needs to, let these other people put targets on their back, and then strike when the iron's hot.
All right, so let's look at this hypothetical cast. What kind of connections does Memphis have coming in? Where do we see him landing? Obviously, the first one is Keisha. He played with Keisha. He betrayed Keisha. Do we have any idea what kind of relationship they have nowadays?
I'm not sure how they are in 2020, but I do know usually when it's a returner cast, despite if they have bad blood or not, usually there's always some bond that's forged just by knowing each other. Keisha and Memphis were really good friends in the season, and I will imagine, minus him getting completely blindsiding her, that hopefully they would patch things up and continue on. I don't think Keisha would really trust Memphis in the same way she did in 10, but I do feel like they will at least work together short term.
I think it's interesting because, again, if Dan was involved in any way, what role does Dan have in this potential relationship? Has Dan been helping Krieg?
Living room. The view from up there showcases the rooftop window the space features an oversized daybed,
Yeah, I never did actually
surrounded
watch
by
this video.
street lights and splashy contemporary art. A perfect place to lay out for the day while laying out plans for the season. And now, let's check out the head of household suite. This season, HOH reigns in an elegant, refined, and tropical suite, featuring rainbow skylights, revealing a Twilight City skyline. Lots of work in the rooms framed by gray stained wood columns. At the center of it all,
And you mentioned Dan's Instagram thing,
Oh, yeah,
where
the slap.
he talked to Memphis. Keisha
Which
was
is
not
actually
in
that's so ridiculous with the mask
I
on.
do not know the current state of the Dan-Keisha relationship, but I have to imagine at the very least Dan was helping Memphis in the pregame. And, you know, how does that impact his relationship with Keisha, Bobby?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think if he's helping anyone,
Hey, I love how
he's
that
giving
mission
as
is the
much
one that they
advice
say,
to
oh, it's
Memphis
gonna be
as
a
he possibly can. Now, as far as Keisha,
it's gonna be a long
I think
mission,
that we
then like the
really
mission
have
itself's only
no
like 20 minutes, and
idea
then this
what
like
their
mission never
relationship
about to
is.
start
You
like
don't really
leads
see
directly into the
anything,
next
you
mission,
know,
which
on Instagram
together
or
take about an hour.
There's
It's
really
like what the
nothing
fuck.
that really bonds them together, you know, in these 12 years since we've seen them play last. So it's going to be interesting because I want to see exactly the aspect that they have between each other. Is there still disdain for what Memphis did to Keisha? Did that relationship ever get repaired? We really don't know all the details. We might think we know certain things, but we have no idea. So that is, in my opinion, the biggest foil to Memphis' game, is if Keisha tries to sour him in front of people, if she tries to put him down and put him at the bottom of an alliance or possibly on the other side of the vote. I think if she has a vendetta to get her revenge on Memphis for what he did in Big Brother 10, that's going to be the biggest hurdle he has to overcome. Now, who knows? Maybe they're great friends. Maybe they've been talking about working together. We really don't know. So I think it's going to go one way or the other. I really don't see there's an in-between spot for that.
Anybody else, Isaiah? Who else do we think could have some kind of connection or interaction here with Memphis?
Well, naturally, I mean, people were speculating that Dan and Derek would be working together. I mean, we got their other halves in a sense with Memphis and Cody. So, I mean, maybe we could see some sort of sidekick alliance here, but in retrospect, that actually could hurt them if you think about it, because if you look at Memphis and Cody and you see them hanging out around a lot, they can just be like, oh, they're just doing the Dan and Derek thing. So, I mean, if they approach it correctly, maybe it could be successful. I mean, they both have the keys to.
Should we try to do this mission?
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, fuck it, let's try to do this mission.
Good social game. It just depends on if they're able to correctly.
Yeah,
That's what we're supposed to do. Is it not?
Yeah, if Memphis and Cody start hanging out,
Huh.
just
I could have sworn we were supposed to jump in the water.
reminded of Dan and Derek, I think. And I think that's a very dangerous spot for them to be. But there's also another member of the Renegades that's on the cast, Ian Terry, who was in the Renegades 2.0, which was not quite as genuine as the first one. But a lot of people have been speculating, okay, what about Memphis and Ian, Renegades 3.0? How do you feel about that, Bobby?
I don't see it happening. I really don't, because they're completely different people. Dan's like the perfect in-between of those two characters, like those two personality types. I think Memphis is too much of a, manly man, or, maybe even a little bit of a hothead, from what we know, from what we've seen in Big Brother 10, and Ian is too much on the other spectrum of that. I think Dan's like between where his personality matches well with both sides. I don't see those two coming together. I would love to see it. Like, let's do, Renegades 3.0. Let's see that happen. But I don't see that happening. I think that there's other people like Tyler or, let's see here. Now I'm blanking on who else I was going to say it. Well, I really do think Tyler and him could get along. And I do agree with Cody. I think that there's something there. I think they can work it out. But you're right, taking a turn. They cannot come out strong with that alliance, because then it's just, both their alliances can win it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if Memphis wins, then I think the Renegades become the all-time winningest alliance, if you count Ian, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Anybody in a Renegades alliance has won. bit, and again, like, I think Ian will be a little bit skeptical, and again, if Dan is doing any pre-gaming for Memphis with Ian, then, like, I don't know how much Ian trusts Dan in any kind of game sense, and, you know, via that, may not have full trust in somebody like Memphis, and that could be interesting. I do think that Dan seems to have a pretty good relationship with Janelle. Janelle respects Dan a lot, and he respects her a lot, and I can definitely see a connection there with Memphis. Memphis, you know, being connected through Dan to Janelle, and with that kind of get included in a potential group with like Kaser and Danielle Donato or whoever else is in that crew, and so I feel like that could be a pretty good spot for him because he kind of stands out. He's not super connected to those people, and there's bigger pairs and targets amongst those people, competition threats, big personalities, big reputations, where he can kind of remain a little bit hidden and work on some other social relationships. What do you think of that?
I'm all for it. I would love to see old schoolers alliance, if that could actually come up. I do think that would be an interesting dynamic if there was some sort of like old school versus new school. Do I think it will happen? No, there's a lot of weasels in the Big Brother house, but you know, I think it would be interesting. Another connection I was actually thinking about as well, if he even gets on, is like Enzo.
Oh shit, I didn't see. Fuck. Okay, well, why didn't he assassinate? Had the assassinate prompt on there.
Or Tyler, I can see something like that in the works, because that's how Memphis, I mean, that's how Enzo operates, but
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's gonna naturally look at Enzo and be like, don't let him alone with any guys.
Yeah. I think Enzo's gonna take one look at Memphis and his heart eyes are gonna pop out of his head, and he's gonna be like, yes, this is exactly what I look for in an ally, because Memphis just perfectly fits the brigade archetype, I feel. So I think you're right there.
Because the way I look at him, it's almost kind of like Lane in a sense, where Lane and Memphis both had that one person in Brittany and Keisha, and that they were super loyal to, and then they both burned that bridge with that person for another group in the brigade or another person in Dan. So maybe he would fit that archetype that Enzo looks for.
No, what the fuck? Why are you assassinating them when they fucking have the assassin prompt? That's so fucking dumb.
A lot more passion and strategic gameplay, and you've got Memphis. So it's definitely I could see that happening, but I do agree that I think people are going to be watching out for Enzo doing that, and so I think that's another dangerous place to go for Memphis if he is obviously.
No, again.
People are going to be like, oh.
Why have the assassinate prompt on there if you're not gonna fucking assassinate him?
100% I agree with that.
Yes. What about Kevin Campbell? Kevin Campbell is a hypothetical cast member. We talked about this a little bit with Keisha, that Kevin Campbell comes directly after season 10 and season 11, and Rob often talks about how, you know, people who are on seasons that are adjacent to each other often have a connection, just because it's like, hey, it's like passing the old guard, and you know, if it's the new guys, and there's usually some events and stuff where they're able to meet. It wouldn't surprise me if Memphis at least has some kind of passing connection to Kevin Campbell, and they both come in, I think, with pretty low amount of connections. They both seem to be potentially new to the cast, new additions, and probably didn't have a ton of time to pre-game and don't already have a lot of other established relationships, so I could see them coming together here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's a good possibility, because if they played back-to-back of each other, that there's some kind of, you know, formality with them. There's some kind of connection that maybe will bond them together. Or just the comfort of being like, oh, I know that person. I can at least go have a conversation with that person and then see what it turns into. Now, in a game aspect, I feel like they don't have a ton of similarities.
No, again.
There's a few things that you can pick from each other's game that's like, okay, that could mesh well with each other. But it really is going to come down to, this is someone I know, this is someone I recognize. I can at least go have a conversation with them, maybe get them in a room and possibly talk some game. And, we're also old school players. Maybe we can build a bond on that, in the fact that we played around the same time. We're old school. There's a lot of these new school kids. Let's work together and try to make it part of this game. I can see that as a possibility. But I completely agree with you, Isaiah. I think Enzo is a dead-on, that's 100% who he could line up with.
Well, definitely, and I think that Kevin, just to go back to the Kevin Campbell, I definitely think that Kevin is a really adaptable type of personality in the Big Brother house. He's trying to work with different types of people. So I mean, I feel like he'd be trying to work with as many people as he could. And I think Memphis, just based off of that season connection that you guys were talking about, definitely I can see a bridge there.
Yeah, and Kevin also played with Jesse from Memphis' season, and I don't know what Memphis and Jesse's relationship is like, but it is even more of a connection there. Memphis and Jesse were, they were fighting, but like they were in similar roles. They did fight at times, but they had similar roles in the season. Like they were, I think, similar kinds of people to work with at that point in time in Big Brother 10. So if Kevin can work with Jesse, then perhaps he can work with Memphis as well. So who knows? Who knows? What do we think? What do we think? Predictions for Memphis. How far is he going to go? Where is he going to land on this season of All-Stars? Bobby, what do you think?
I think he could go very far. I honestly think that I at least think jury. I don't think anyone's coming after him. I think there's so many other targets ahead of him, especially winners. I think people are going to possibly target the winners right away, or they're going to target, these new big threats like a Tyler, or like even maybe a Cody. They might come after some of these people that got far in the game, but I don't think Memphis is one of them. I think Memphis, because he's older, because he has a family, maybe he has a more emotional background, maybe he can tie in with people. I see him getting very far in this game. I don't know if it's final two. I would love to see it. If he does, then I'll be rooting for him. I think that he could get far. I'm going to say jury in this game.
Fuck that.
I'm thinking jury too. I think just based off of the one season that we've seen from him, he got very lucky to get out that first half of the game. He was struggling a lot, and in modern day Big Brother, a lot of the early games seem to be, let's make this a big group of people and we can just ride it out till this point of the game. So I mean, if something like that happens again, I can see Memphis possibly being one of the first people to be looked at just based off of his legacy alone. But I think that he has what it takes.
Oh, interesting. Josh Martinez posted on Twitter that he won't be on All Stars, but it's not because of COVID. Interesting. Yes, I do think that's good in there.
北へ行った。クロードの首を取れと言い置いてな。ならば取りに来るがいい。いや、お前が助かったのは俺がハーンに頼んだからなんだよ。奴はタカを殺した。俺の仲間も死んだ。もう味方はいない。お前しか。なあ、二人で猛虎を撃ってやろうぜ。今さらしげたことを言うな。俺がハーンについたのは探るためだったと広めろ。お前が言えばみんな黙れ。お前ほどの友はいなかった。下れ。そして報いを受けよ。 れしか道はない。それは無理だ。なぜくだらなかった。おじごの手で殺されたくない。後には引けん。ドクターな、おじごの教えに背いたか。こうするほかないのだ。
Might as well use it all. I don't know why I just did that. Might as well max that. Fuck. Oh my god, am I really about to die? I came into this with so much help. No. My only chance was to dodge that, was to parry that, and then heal.
なぜくだらなかった。おじごの手で殺されたくない。
Fuck. It's definitely going a lot better than last time. So far, at least. I think that's another problem, is that we never upgrade our sword either. Or like last time, like my sword is like almost fully upgraded at this point. God damn it. There we go.
ジェン。頼む。さらばだ、竜蔵。
そうか。
城は取り返しました。藩は神谷方へ。すぐに立てば足に背いたな。民を守るために下まで。これが誉れある戦いと言えるか。
おかげで勝てたろ。
民を恐れさせ世を乱してか。これは戦です。それでは猛虎と同じではないか。誉れはどこにある。誉れでは民を守れぬのです。鎌倉に咎められることに。だがまことお前の咎か。全てはあの下人めの企てであろう。叔父上、九郎殿の名を捨て、この諸行の咎はあの女に負わせよ。皆に伝えよ。お前の名は志村仁、将軍様の御家人である。わしの息子だと。お断りいたす。俺は玄人だ。では裁きを受けてもらう。藩を追え。タカのためだ。行け。
Alright. We're gonna end here. Next episode, and this is the start of Act 3, kinda. So next episode, we'll go ahead and try to wrap up the game. Or not next episode, but next recording session. About 2 hours left, if I believe. If I remember correctly. But Yeah, we're done. Talk this game. Thank you for watching.